Alright, I did my senior presentation about hacking, like computers and stuff, because I kinda do that. Most of you guys know that. Because I've been really getting into it this year. I've done some stuff that maybe some people might frown upon, but none of it was actually bad, I promise.
Thank you.
How do I go back? Yeah, can you
Scroll down to
go
the
back
bottom.
for me?
On that program, I don't know.
Okay, I've decided to put up the definition just so people could actually get a good idea. It's defined by the Merriam-Webster dictionary as to write computer programs for enjoyment or to gain access to a computer illegally. And many people, a lot of people just kind of know their friend's Facebook password, something like that, and call that hacking. It's not. I don't really care, but it's not. So the next thing, some history. It's hacking has pretty much existed as long as computers have existed. Because people had computers, so they hacked them. Because the early hackers developed out of what they felt was a necessity at the time in the dawning of the technological age. And some people were seeking to find financial gain, and other people just wanted to help other people. They would create freeware and open source applications. Open source, we'll explain that here, Linux is a freely distributed open source, which means reprogrammable. You can go into the code and mess with it if you know how and want to. It's a freely distributed operating system for computers. It was invented in 1991 by this Finnish guy whose name I have trouble pronouncing. He was a student at the University of
Helsinki.
Also, Helsinki,
Mhm.
also a little hard to pronounce in Finnish. He released it for free on the internet, and in turn generated the biggest software development phenomena of all time, even though all time is only 30 years. He created this over 20 years ago, and because it's open source, people can go in and mess with it and update it and fix it. It's still relevant. Like, you can still get it, and it's still very modern. Associated crime. There's a lot of that. They often associate hacking with a lot of crimes, most of which are some kind of theft, which ranges from This video is just
Anonymous is claiming tonight that it took down the website
preview of a movie about Anonymous.
San Francisco this afternoon.
They took down Senate.gov servers, they've taken down HB Gary. Sony's claiming they did $150 million worth of damage.
So many confidential files that tonight, because of these hackers, can be in the hands of anyone.
Visa, MasterCard, the PayPal situation.
The criminals who hacked into Sarah Palin's private email.
The Church of Scientology says Anonymous is a cyber terrorist group of religious bigots.
Anonymous and this other group called Lulz Sec. They seem to be wanting to prove a point.
Anonymous kind of was like the big, strong, buff kid who had low self-esteem. And then all of a sudden, punched somebody in the face and was like, holy shit, I'm really strong.
I forgot to mention there is a little profanity in this. There will be a little more.
Anonymous calls itself the final boss of the internet. And sometimes it proves to be really fucking true. You are going to violate the freedoms of the internet, you certainly better watch the fuck out.
They are kind of the movie boards in there. There's a real rough edge to them, which I think also is one reason why they garner so much love and hate from people too. They represent a certain sort of chaotic freedom.
The hacker ethos has a passion for truth. It wants what's real to be out there. And it uses kind of the locate definition of reality. And reality is that which, when you stop believing in it, refuses to go away.
We stand for freedom. We stand for freedom of speech, the power of the people, the ability for them to protest against the government, to right wrongs, no censorship, especially online, but also in real life. We have members throughout society and all stratas of it worldwide. Yet we have no leadership. It's a one voice. It's not individual voices. That's why we don't show our faces. That's why we don't give our names. We're speaking as one, and it's a collective. Good timing.
So the FBI shows up at 6 in the morning and they drag me out into the cold and there's guns and a little LED flashlight in the vest. It was really obnoxious. If you so much as sneeze on someone's tablet and the government's not happy about it, then you're a hacker.
There's people that are dying for a flag. And they're being like, maybe it's time for a new law. If I get the chance to do that, then so be it. And if 14 other people that are with me get a chance to do it, then so be it.
You want to see Anonymous rise up? Try to shut down the message. Try to squash the message. Try to chill our speech. Then you'll see what Anonymous can do.
Right now, you could argue that the most powerful people on Earth are a bunch of nameless, faceless 17 to 35-year-olds. It's like the hacker ruling class, right?
It's my community, it's my culture. I identify with Anonymous.
Whether they had a time-to-time part, whether they had a substantive part, an Arab Spring, or the top lanes of evil in Egyptian governments, individual, young, nameless, faceless folks are having geopolitical impact. It's both exhilarating to realize that and terrifying to realize that. It kind of depends on how that power is wielded.
We are legion. Please do not forget. Expect us.
So that movie was made last year in 2012, which was only 1 year after they started to become politically active. Enough people believed in what they were doing that enough money was raised to make a movie just one year later, a documentary. That's pretty quick. So a lot of people were paying attention. Was anybody wondering what was going on with those masks?
Yes.
Okay, the mask is from. Did anybody see V for Vendetta?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the Guy Fawkes mask. That movie was basically about, I think it was the French Revolution. I think the French, which is why they adopted it, because it was a movie that was about revolution, and the mask hides their faces and keeps them anonymous, which is another thing about it that's kind of fits. When I click, it should do something. it isn't really that important, but it should do it. It's not doing it. Can you escape? All I was doing here, this is the picture that I made, that I use rather, to create that sphere in the background of all my slides, because the program also has a 3D imaging support. It's not a big deal. I just thought it was a cool thing, and I gave credit to the guy who made it, Daniel Mosier. Most of you know him. But he made this picture. I wanted to use it in my presentation because, you know, it looks cool. Binary and I don't know what that thing is, but it looks like it has to do with my topic a little bit. So I gave him credit for it. Okay, and then the end of the presentation. Can you go to YouTube? And search Anonymous Operation Turkey. The country, not the food, I promise. That first one. Watch the volume. This was posted just 2 days ago because they're still very active. Every couple weeks they start
Greetings,
something new.
Government of Turkey. We are Anonymous. We have watched for days with horror as our brothers and sisters in Turkey who are peacefully rising up against their tyrannical government have been brutalized, beaten, run over with riot vehicles, shot with water cannons and gassed in the streets. From the epicenter of the revolution in Taksim Square to every city in Turkey, the people have risen. Hundreds of thousands have taken and held the streets for days. Despite the relentless assault of the police, thousands have been arrested. Where differ you exactly from Mahuda? Turkey is supposed to be a so-called modern democracy, but the Turkish government behaves like the petty dictators in China or Iran. Anonymous is outraged by this behavior, and we will unite across the globe and bring the Turkish government to its knees. We will attack every internet and communications asset of the Turkish government. You have censored social media and other communications of your people in order to suppress the knowledge of your crimes against them. Now Anonymous will shut you down, and your own people will remove you from power. We have seen in the past your totalitarianism, the same as with Mubarak. You know what happened to him. Don't do this to your own people. Be wise and step down and let the people decide their fate. To the people of Turkey, no matter how dark it may seem, no matter how alone and abandoned you may feel, know that the world is watching. Know that Anonymous is working tirelessly around the clock to bring you every assistance. Know that Anonymous stands with you in this fight. Don't be ruled by them, but rule over them. Think for yourself. Question authority. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Government of Turkey, it is too late to expect us.
That's an active operation they have going to help overthrow the government of Turkey. Had anybody here heard that there was revolution going on in Turkey? Thank you. Somebody watches some news. They've done a pretty good job of not having it been made important here.
It's in the sidelines on the paper,
Yeah.
the little tiny things on the edge.
It hasn't been made a big deal of, which is why probably nobody heard of it yet. And they get involved because they want to help and they want other people to know what's going on. Because I bet that most of your parents don't even know what's going on either. Because, I mean, maybe they don't care because this is America, not Turkey, that's fine, but it shouldn't be hidden from them. It shouldn't just be made light of and small print off to the side that nobody's going to notice. And that's part of what they were trying to accomplish by making this video, was making people just aware that it was happening. And it's only been up for a little over a day, and 20,000 hits for a little over a day is not too bad. But that's just kind of the things that the modern hacker, the good ones, there are good ones was the point, I guess. There are people out there that still take credit card information and do identity theft, all that kind of things that people don't want to happen to them. And it's still really easy to do. Quick way to make money. But there's a good side to it too that not a lot of people know about. And that's what I wanted to inform everybody about. There is a good side to the hacking, and I guess because I kind of associate myself with it to a point, I wanted everybody to know there is more than just bad stuff that there is to happen. But I had an activity planned, but that it kind of fell through. Nobody brought me an iPod. I was going to jailbreak an iPod, which is legal. But no, I had 3 people that were supposed to bring me iPods, and none of them did.
I have one.
I didn't bring my computer because I didn't have one. But if you want outside of class, I will still be more than happy to do that for you. It's fun. But without those activities, that's about the extent of my presentation. How close am I to time?
I don't know because I have it in 3 different videos. So.
Oh, okay.
Do we have questions from people?
Any questions? Take some
Oh, yeah.
questions.
Oh, go ahead.
What's the biggest hack you've ever done? Coolest
Legal.
hack. Coolest hack. Coolest legal hack.
Illegal?
Inappropriate.
Illegal. That's what I'm.
I really feel like I shouldn't tell you.
Let's go legal then.
Biggest legal one, just, okay, how about this? I have Time Warner Cable at home, and my internet service is in direct void of their terms of service. I have overclocked my megabyte download speed. I'm only supposed to be getting like 35 megabytes per second or something like that, and my actual download speed is about 55.
So like you hack them to make them.
It wasn't really a difficult hack. It was computers to hook up to the internet. There's this thing called an IP address. It's just where your set location of internet is. And I just moved mine. Even though it's still connected and routed through theirs, it's routed from there to a higher speed one and several more links through it that technically might be illegal, but it speeds up my internet quite a bit. Jason first, then the
Okay.
What's the most popular, or biggest, or most well-known thing that Anonymous does?
Probably the biggest thing they've done that people are vastly aware of. I think it was last year, in early 2012, they hacked the PlayStation Network and gave tens of thousands of people free PlayStation Gold, which is they gave a lot of people a lot of free, because PlayStation Network is different than the Xbox Live. It's free to get on there in the first place, but there is a plus thing, and they gave 35,000 people free plus that Sony was not able to take away. Which is why in that first video I showed, they caused something like $1.5 million damage. I can't remember the number exactly, but that was the damage, was they gave away a ton of PlayStation Network Plus features. Teacher, should we got one?
You've asked, obviously there is a good side to some of this stuff, people having information that they otherwise don't have. People knowing that there's, I knew that there was something going on in Turkey. I didn't know that much about it.
You probably hadn't seen the footage of a guy getting blown across the street.
No, I knew that there was an insurgence there. There was a possible revolution going on. That's about the extent of everything, and I probably watch the news better than most people. But in the same light, there was the WikiLeaks situation.
Yes, WikiLeaks, actually, that was
And-
not,
And I'm just wondering where you stand. I mean, the big thing, obviously, we want to know some things that maybe the government is keeping from us, like how many civilians are really being killed in the war that we're in and what we're really doing over there. In the same note, people are also very concerned about, should everybody know what's happening with military operations and things like that, because if it's free to the public, it's free to the enemy too.
yes, that
And-
is.
And
that
where
is-
does
is
that
a hard
line,
to draw.
it's like, where's that line between the two? Because I mean, I don't want to see our
Secret-
soldiers being killed
there
over
are
it.
things I think about the military that should be kept like temporary secrets. Like an operation to go into a foreign country to assassinate a dictator that has worked directly against us, they shouldn't know we're coming until after we've been there. And that's something, but people should be allowed to know we were there afterwards, at least, I think, is about where I stand on that. The WikiLeaks stuff, it's hard to draw a line in most of those documents. A lot of them were stuff that probably didn't need to be leaked, but that actually was not, it was posted with the help of hacking. It was retrieved by a soldier directly with files. He didn't really hack anything, he just had the legal access and then illegally spread them with the help of the guy who did WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks existed long before that scandal. They released other information. They were just kind of an obscure site that nobody really knew anything about until they had tens of thousands of illicit documents from the government. Then they mattered, because there were things that people wanted to know.
So people who do things like that, should they be arrested? Should it be illegal
the
for them to
soldier-
do such a thing?
The soldier that took the document is actually on trial right now from the scandal. He's actually about to go into court. I saw that on the news just the other day. He's going into court now. So I guess that will decide what happens with him, which probably will be negative for him anyway. Like, it could be a positive by population or for the government. But the guy that operates WikiLeaks, the government has been trying to assassinate him since shortly after the WikiLeaks scandal. So much so that he actually has body doubles running around, and he flies all around in Asia, just basically to hide himself from the Australian and American governments, because WikiLeaks was based in Australia when the scandal occurred, but it was American government documents that were leaked, which made it awfully hard to prosecute him, since he was a foreigner operating under foreign laws that we have in America no right to touch, even though we broke their laws too. It was Australia's responsibility.
So is he, should he, I guess my question is more of a moral question. Where do we draw the line of where it's okay and where it's not?
Well, it's a very hard question to answer, believing in the freedom of information, because I think that the government shouldn't keep secrets from its citizens at all. But with the internet involved, it's awfully hard to not keep secrets from your citizens as well as the rest of your enemies. I don't think that necessarily, say, right now North Korea should know anything that our government is doing, which makes it hard for us to know also. So it's a really hard line to draw, I guess, is all I can say about that.
Other people? I've been grilling him.
Where did you learn how to hack? Did you look up stuff?
Some of it I just figured out. A lot of it you can just look up a YouTube video on how to do something you want to do. Actually, a little of it I learned from, I don't know if anybody remembers him, Thomas Van Slambrook. Quite a bit of the stuff I know, the IP address thing, I learned that from him. I also know how to use flash drives to speed up computers. That's less of a hack and more of just a hardware nice thing, but it's come in handy on crappy computers.
Are there people like Lisbeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo who are like professional hackers for like organizations and stuff?
That kind of stuff is real. But it normally doesn't go like that movie did. I didn't actually pay attention to the movie when I watched it, but like it doesn't happen a lot in America. America mostly imprisons their hackers and lets them sit in jail for 10 years. Most of the great hackers of the 90s just got out in the last couple of years. And they very well could be part of Anonymous, but there's no way of knowing for sure. Places like China are pretty big on hiring their hackers to help their government. But for Americans, a lot of that wouldn't work because Anonymous obviously is not a fan of the American government, so why would they want to help it, kind of thing. But yeah. Anybody else? Sam.
If you had the chance, would you join Anonymous?
You don't join, you just do. So I guess I kind of already did. I swear I saw another hand earlier that never asked me a question.
Because Sam was asked it.
Oh, okay.
If Anonymous does things like, I see obviously with things like Turkey and whatnot, that's something that clearly has a goal of equality and peace and freedom and all that other stuff. How does stealing gold from video games promote that? From the PlayStation.
The idea
the PlayStation Gold, I guess, whatever.
The thing about Anonymous is it's less of a group. It doesn't really have a leader. It's more of a brand. And all you need to be recognized as a hacker from Anonymous is basically a voice changer and a Guy Fawkes mask. And people will think you're from Anonymous. You can make a video. There are plenty of fake videos of operations that actually people made fake that happened anyway, just because, yeah, that's a good idea. We should do that. And then some of them are just hackers that take the name and do whatever they want with it. That's probably the PlayStation Network one. That somebody just adopted the name for to use it for their case of what they were going to do. And some of them actually take the name and try to smudge it. Like government hackers from, say, China have been hired to just operate with the Guy Fawkes mask and do something that nobody will think is good. Just to kind of smudge the name of Anonymous, which is pretty easy to do since they can't fight back on that directly. Actually, Boston bombing was actually one of those cases. Immediately after it happened, Fox News was attempting to accuse Anonymous of having a part in it. Instead of admitting or anything that they did or not doing anything, they actually hacked Fox News' live feed with a video saying, no, we didn't do that.
When they say they're going to take down the Turkish government, is this just a random person making the threat, or is this someone who actually will do it? Or is there no way of knowing?
It's hard to tell at first, but some of them, some of the videos actually give places you can go to be a part of the chat. Because there's basically an anonymous chat room where they go to talk about operations and everything. And if you can find your way to the chat room, you can be a part of it. And that one, I only got on that one because they gave me a straightforward link. I apparently am not that good yet, but I'm working on it. And it appears to, that one appeared to me to be real, even though the link was so easy to get through. But the chat room was there, they were talking about what to do and how to do it. And I just kind of sat back and read the conversation as it unfolded. Basically, they're going to wreck the banks is one of their plans. At least when I left the chat room, they were going to destroy all the virtualized money, like all the virtualized assets, all the documentations of the banks. They're just going to get rid of them so that the government has nothing left.
So do you think they think that? Do you think Turkey takes us as a threat now because of that's kind of a threat.
It's
so
kind of.
Real threat.
It's like start something.
We're going to ruin your financial system.
It's not
that's a threat.
necessarily American though. Like they're not going to be threatened by America because of Anonymous. They're going to be threatened by Anonymous because of Anonymous. It's a separate. It's an entity of itself now because so many people across the world spent $10 on a Guy Fawkes mask.
Alright. So they kind of have no idea who it is.
Yeah. Like some countries actually don't know whether or not it's real at first until it happens. I think it was actually in Great Britain last year that a bank got hacked into. All their information was being messed with by hackers claiming to be from Anonymous or supporting Anonymous. And the bank was just closed for that day. That was either a failed operation or a warning shot. It's hard to tell which because they won't tell you after it's over what they were really trying to do. But I prefer to think it was a warning shot because everything was back to normal within a week. And for that bank anyway.
All right, is everybody good? All right, good job.